Perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction, Vishal, and thank you, Optimus, for having me, and thank you for everybody who's here today taking their morning or afternoon, depending on where you are in the world, to learn more about reporting out of Dynamics GP, as well as some more advanced analytics and what we do as a company and how we can partner together and help you run your business more efficiently. And so that's really what we're going to be covering today. Is I'm going to show you what we bring in terms of reporting out of Dynamics GP directly, so you can get live refreshable data within Excel, as well as some high-level analytics. And so for those of you who have seen Power BI or who have questions about how to create some dashboards and ways to slice and dice data, we're going to be covering all of that today. And so we have about an hour or so, and I do want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable asking questions. And so if you do have a question, feel free to type it in the Q&A box, as well as anything that I may miss. I'm going to leave some time at the end to circle back and answer everybody's questions and make sure that everything was clear today. So again, thank you for being here. For those of you who do not know or are not familiar with who Jet Global is, we are a data access company. We've been around since 2002, and we've amassed over 14,000 unique businesses that use us for reporting and analytics every day all over the world. And so we're in 94 different countries. We have over 200,000 users. And the reason is everybody has the same challenge when they're trying to get reporting out of a business enterprise resource planning system, is that they want to do business quickly, but getting bottlenecked, like it says right on this slide, makes a company rely heavily on how to get data out instead of being able to analyze the information or slice and dice it to help them create business decisions. This is a good example of the industries that we've worked in historically. So just so you know, no matter what industry you're in, Jet as well as Optimus obviously has a wealth of knowledge about the industry, and so we come alongside and we just make it easy for you to get access to your Dynamics GP data. That's really what we do, and that's why it's popular. Is we deliver this information into Excel, and Excel is the most widely used business application on the planet, and I think it will stay that way for quite some time. And the good news for you being a Dynamics GP user is if you do choose to use Jet Reports, or you're already using it or considering it, it is a one-stop shop for reporting. So we'll access your GL information, meaning it is a recommended solution for replacing Management Reporter, and it will also access all of your operational data as well. So AP, AR, inventory, anything around HR or payroll, so all of your data that you're using. So it's a good replacement for SmartList as well. And so the advantage for you as a customer is once you learn the one Jet reporting tool, you don't have to go and choose which one to use if you want financial data versus operational data. You can just go to Jet in Excel and you'll have access to everything, okay? And so that's where we're going to start today with our training exercises. This is live data within Excel, and so I'm going to build some examples for you so you can see how it works. So I'm open up a new workbook here. And for those of you who have not seen the Jet ribbon before, it is bolted into Excel, and so nothing about Excel changes. So you have all of the same charts and graphs or layouts and data designs that you are familiar with. And so what we do is we point to your Dynamics GP database, and then we just choose how we want to pull information in. And so the first example that I'm going to build is a financial example. And I'm going to use a date range that I know will work with my sample data. I'm connected to the Fabricam sample database today. And as you can see, there's a lot of different ways for a user who's a designer or a power user in JET to pull in data. I'm going to focus on a couple of the most popular ways, one being the GL function, which is definitely used when converting off of Management Reporter. Okay. And so I'll build a trial balance that shows budgets to actuals and then also includes variance. But I'm going to use JET to break this out by business group and entity. And so when the JET interface pops up, this is the reason it's so popular, is when I click on a box, what it does is it takes me to a window and it asks me a set of questions and leads me through the process. And so the first question, when it says where, it's simply asking where do I want the information returned. And for those of you familiar with Management Reporter, rows and columns, you should be familiar with. Cell, you could do something as simple as in this cell, give me the balance of an account on a certain day or date range. I'm going to use the sheet replicator and break this out by my first segment, which happens to be department. And so this is going to create a new tab for each department. And now below this, I choose what I'd like to see broken out by my business departments. And so I'm going to grab the balance, what the budget was, and then include the variance amount as well. So again, same set of questions. In this case, I want the rows to copy and down the worksheet for me. And I want each row to represent a specific account, okay? And so in any example, you're always going to have access to your chart of accounts here. There are some business operators where you could maybe do a range of accounts. You could do everything except a certain account or certain set of accounts. So you can get very custom with this. In my case, I actually want all of the accounts, but I want JET to use the segment 1 that I've already created to pull from the chart of accounts. So every account that starts with 000, I will see in this example. And JET's pretty smart. We're in the same row, and so I can skip where from here on out and just say I'd like the account name in this column. And then because I'm in Excel and I can cell reference, I'm going to take advantage of that and just simply point to the account. When I'm grabbing a number or a value from Dynamics GP, the only other thing that I'd add here is our date range. And so we're getting a net change in the first quarter. You can include unposted activity, but this will default to false, as well as you could have multiple companies included. They'd all be listed here. But in our case, I only have one. But again, you could have multiple companies. And then because I'm in Excel and I've used cell referencing, I can drag that over the work that I've already done and simply select the budget instead of balance. And as you see here, there's a new selection where any budgets that you have loaded into Dynamics GP will be available here. And then I'm going to use Excel to do a simple variance calculation. Oop. Grab that. And then the rest is really formatting. So what we've done is we've asked JET to create a new tab for each department and to give me a list of these accounts with their basically their balance, their budget, and the variance for each specific account. And so I'm just going to add some coloring. And then I'm going to also use JET to hide this row from my viewer because they don't really need to see that, and then also auto adjust my columns. And so now that I'm done, I'll come back to the final JET ribbon here. I could choose to run this or run it in the background Either way is an option. I'm simply going to run this off of the live database. So I'll go ahead and click this. And this is going to, again, create a new tab for each department and then hold all of the formatting true. And so as you can see here, we have a fully operational departmental report by just creating one line of information. And at this point, I could drill into the data if I'd like. And so as long as the user has security permissions to view this information, they're going to be able to open up a feature called Drill Down, which will give a summary level first. And if you click on the account, you can actually drill further into the transactional data. Okay? And so as a user, if you're wanting to analyze this information, you can move these columns to the top and decide. You can create like a hierarchy and then decide if you want to export this back to Excel or just close out of the window. And so it's a very easy way for someone to quickly get access to that information. And then because I've built this report in such a way, if I were to go back to the design of it, I could actually change this date range and it would update the entire report for me. Okay. The next example I'll show, it's another financial example. And what this is doing is it's showing us how to create an income statement and a balance sheet. And so in this particular example, a lot of the work in terms of creating a report is really the layout. And so if you have a good idea of the layout or the type of report that you're wanting to build, the great news for you is you can place this into Excel, and then JET really becomes the easy part. Because when I open up this window, I just, again, answer the same set of questions. So I can say in this cell, what do I want to see? Well, I'm going to point to the what here, which is balance, and then cell reference it for the row. And then instead of picking an account, which I could, you'll see that in the balance sheet, I'm going to choose an account category. So for those of you using account categories, we'd read those. And then I'm going to grab also our date range here. And then that's it. I drag this over, and because of cell referencing, it's now pulling in the budget. And then I can actually drag this function down the worksheet. So you can see once you have the framework of the report, it makes it very simple to create a JET report. And now I could change this account or this account category as well as the date range. And it's a fully functional report as far as the income statement goes. Okay? And so as you start creating these, you're going to be building a library of reports that then you can now copy and paste and use pieces of forever. And so instead of exporting to Excel and manually manipulating this report every time, you can simply come in and change the date range or what accounts you want to see and just refresh the information. The same is true with the balance sheet. As you can see here, all we've said is in this cell, give me the balance of the account that I've placed over here for the ending period up here. And so this is a good example of a sample report that you'll receive from JET as a company when you get started. And so if you wanted to modify this report, you could easily just copy this entire column, paste it over, change to 2016 and have a 3-year report instead of just a 2. And so that's the advantage of JET, is it's extremely flexible and it's designed for someone to customize any of these reports out of the box. Just so you can see a quick, I'm going to show you very quickly where to find those sample reports is on our website at the bottom of the page. Under sample reports, you can choose your ERP system, which is Dynamics GP for us. And then you can see we have 78 mixture of dashboards, which we'll get into here in a little while, and reports. Okay, So there's a lot there for you as an organization to make sure that you get an immediate return on your investment when you choose to go with Jet. This is one of the sample reports. It's called Accounts Receivable. It's an aging report that is actually quite difficult to get out of Dynamics GP. And so we provide this out of the box on the first day. And so this report, if you wanted to modify it, when we click on the chart, you can see everything that we've included in the pivot chart. So if I wanted to add a slicer for a salesperson and then send this out to the account managers, I could easily do this just by clicking a few boxes. And now this team or this individual now knows where their main focus should be for the day for their AR runs. Okay? And so building something like this is actually quite simple. This, again, goes back to the point of when I'm using Jet, I don't need to know multiple tools to get access to all of my data. I just need to know the one. And so I'm actually going to show another very popular way to access data, which is called the report wizard. And the reason it's powerful is it walks us through the process. And so when we open up the data source, we can see every single table that's included in the Dynamics GP database. And so I'm going to go to our customers table and click next. And then we simply choose what information that we'd like to see. And so I'm going to grab the customer information first, and then maybe we'll do a balance type report. So we'll grab their balance, excuse me, their credit limit amount, credit limit type, and then from here, it would really be up to the user as far as if they want to add some more fields. And so I'm actually going to add our salesperson as well, and then just click next. Here is adding a filter. So just like you saw in the reports we built originally, we had date range primarily as the filter. You could also do company or what budget you're pulling in. All of the points of information that I pulled into the report could be a filter. The same is true with a operational report. So if I wanted to add maybe sales territory, and then I want to, if I click this box, this means now the person viewing the report or accessing and consuming the data can change what sales territory they're viewing. The next piece is grouping. And so maybe I'd like to group this information by who the account manager is. And then sorting is a great feature. So in our case, if I want to see who has the highest balances, it's very simple for me to do that. And then I'll have Jet actually do the formatting and the bordering. So at the end, it'll give you an overview of what you've chosen to include. And then once we click finish, Jet does all of the work. And so now when I run this report, again, the user could change to any of these specific sales territories, but we're going to include all of them. And now we see a balance report grouped by account manager. And so it's a really effective way for you to get the information into Excel in a refreshable format. And now you could create a chart or a graph or a pivot table depending on the kind of report that you're wanting to do, as well as include your company logos and any headers that you would like. This is a good example of a finished sales report where what we've done is we've created just what we did before, but we've chosen to use Excel to allow us to visually represent this information. And so when I run this particular report, you can see we can change the date range or salesperson, and now we have a live report off of our sales information. Okay? For those of you on the line who are familiar with Management Reporter, just know both the Optimus and Jet team have a lot of experience with converting users over. This is an example of a packet of reports that we've converted in the past, right out of Management Reporter or FRX. And so for us, in terms of how we distribute this information, there's two very common ways that users distribute this. And so if I go into the Jet ribbon, the first one you'll see is the automated scheduler. And what this is very effective for is allowing you to take this packet of reports and choose how often you would like them to be ran. So maybe every Monday, I want this package of reports to be ran live off the data, and I want it to be sent to the department heads or up to the CFO. And so you can say, okay, every week on Monday, you could say anytime. So you could choose for this to be ran before you get into the office. And you can also send via email or to a shared network drive, but you can also choose the output. And so you can send this as a Jet workbook, which we have seen here so far, where a user can refresh, they can drill down into the data, or conversely, you can send it as a PDF, right? And so that is a huge advantage where you can have your month-end financials sitting in your inbox waiting to be viewed in any format that you can share an Excel file. The next way that we see users sharing reports is a web-based application called the Jet Hub. And so this is rapidly growing in popularity. And so if I go back to our browser here, I'll log into the Jet Hub. And the user is prompted to log in with their credentials and their password. And when a user logs into this web portal, they're presented with a personalized experience. And so I'm only going to see reports that I've created. So if I am a power user and I've created some financial reports or operational reports and I've chosen to load them into the Jet Hub, this is where I would now be able to share them. So if I go into this particular report, we can see I'm the owner because I can change who actually owns this report. But under the details tab is where I can share. So I can choose individual users or groups of users or to share with everybody. And if I go back to the report list itself, when I run this report, you can see all of the same options that we built in Excel. So just like we built in sales territory in that one customer balance report, it would be available here for the user to change. And so we can choose to run this off the live data or just open the most recent copy that we have. In our case, again, you have two options. If you are connected to the internet and you have a device that can access the information with Excel online, so like a laptop or a tablet or a cell phone, you can open in Excel online and view this information without downloading this particular report. So the advantage to this is the user, no matter where they are in the world, will always have access to this report and the ability to view this information as long as they have an internet connection. The other option would be to download it, which you absolutely can. And so it's a very flexible way to manage your reports. You have scheduling here still. So it really allows the user or the groups of users to always have access to the report without you manually sharing it. Okay? So with that being said, I did want to go back to our slide deck for just a moment and make sure that we touch on the Jet Hub a little bit. So again, it is designed for accessing data anywhere, and it's the glue that really holds everything together. So you can load your reports, you can load your dashboards, you can load your budgets in here. And so that's really what Jet Reports does. is it gives you access to the reporting function that we've seen, as well as the Jet Hub. Okay, so at this point, we're going to be moving into Jet Analytics, which is really a powerful and by far our most popular offering in our product suite. It does come with everything you've seen so far, and so I don't want you to think that it's two separate products that are the same. And so when you move into Jet Analytics, you still get reporting. But what Jet Analytics does is it brings everything together, no matter where the data happens to be located. So it will provide a pre-built data warehouse and pre-built cubes for Dynamics GP. These install within 2 hours and allows you to rapidly deploy Power BI, as well as build stunning dashboards and visuals, and have everything controlled, governed, and secure in its own centralized database. And so Jet Analytics is a very, very powerful way to access that information. And just so you can see at a high level what is happening in the background is we're taking Dynamics GP, maybe CRM or a legacy database. We can actually connect to any system. So if you have other databases or other systems or other GP installations, we can bring that all into one place. We can make sure that it's organized and secured. And then what we do is we could stop here at the data warehouse, but we make it even easier by placing it into a cube. As you'll see when I build a report off of a cube, it is by far the fastest, easiest, simplest way to access information, and it can access that information without you as a viewer or an end user needing any technical expertise. So it's really designed for end-to-end reporting, and then how you choose to view that data is up to you. You can use our Office 365 environment, Power BI, or just simply Excel. And so just so you can see in the Jet Hub, there's a section for dashboards as well. And this is unlocked with Jet Analytics. And so this is really where the power of a cube comes into play, is we can actually have our key performance indicators indicated by performance tiles. And so they change colors depending on how the company is performing, as well as we can have more interactive visuals that are analyzing. This is almost 5 years of information. And then you can easily swipe through this. So if you were on a tablet or a cell phone, you could easily just swipe with your finger through these particular visuals. Okay? And so I'll show you how to create these, as well as what the dashboard feature would look like within Power BI. I'm going to start actually within Excel, and I'm going to show you the difference between reporting on the live database, which is what we have been doing with Jet Reports, versus reporting off of a cube. And so I'm going to click on the pivot chart here because this is very powerful to see. These are all of the pre-built cubes you would receive out of the box for Dynamics GP. I'm going to use our sales cube just because I know there's more data there. And for those of you who have not used a cube in the past, it is broken into two specific ways. There's your numerical values, which we will call measures. And this is where we can build in key performance indicators like profit percent, where if you saw earlier when we were creating a variance or wanting to do a calculation within Excel, you could absolutely do that, but it's a little more manual. In Jet Analytics, we can actually build in your key performance indicators to be boxes that you just choose to include within a report. The second section is a section called Dimensions, and this is what's going to add relevance and context to our numerical values, to our numbers. And so I'm just going to click So if, let's say I was tasked with building a really complex report that included my sales, my cost, I wanted to see profit and profit percent, and I wanted to slice and dice this data by region, location, salesperson, date range. I also wanted to be able to compare it to last year, as well as drill back to the transactional data. I mean, that sounds like a lot, right? But with Jet Analytics and the power it brings to the table, it's really not. I'm just actually clicking boxes as the end user, and this is regardless of where the data comes from. So this could be coming from GP and CRM. It could be coming from multiple data sources. And so at this point, I've added in some numerical values. I'm going to add our context. And just as you can see, I've clicked 6 boxes, and I have a fully functional sales report that is organized within a hierarchy that I've decided. And I can immediately get back to the transactional level and the sales invoices just by double-clicking a button. And so this is really a powerful, powerful way to quickly get access to large sets of information without, again, knowing the table structure in GP or where this information is coming from. So it's truly a solution built for the average business person. And then again, and maybe I want to compare this to last year, I just click a box and it immediately gives me that information. We're not waiting for anything to refresh or reload. It's a very quick, very simple and efficient. Or if I wanted to organize this in a different way, I can just move this information around within the pivot chart and do so. This can also be the beginning of a dashboard if you wanted it to be. So if I wanted to add our salesperson and maybe our locations, we add these as slicers. And then I could easily integrate, because I'm in Excel, a visual. So I'll go to the Insert tab, and I could choose any of these charts. And we're right at the beginning of creating a dashboard. And now I can just quickly slice and dice this data, and you can see the chart is updating for me. And now I'm returning only the information that I'm requesting, and I'm confident that the users are only getting access to the information I've given them permission to get access to. So it's a very secure, very intelligent, very fast way to get access to large sets of information. And so really what we wind up with if we keep building this out is something like this, where we've created a few charts within Excel just by doing the same thing as you can see here. We clicked sales by salesperson, and then we copied this chart and we placed it in a dashboard environment and then placed our slicers around the outside. And so now I can quickly choose what information that I'd like to appear. So we'll grab maybe I just managed these for sales folks, and then grab an item category. And you can see we already have spotted a trend here where only one person is selling a major product line of ours. And now we have an opportunity, instead of trying to build this every time and figure out how to get this information into Excel, I can quickly now just slice and dice the data and see those trends that are impacting my business. And now I have more time to find out why there's only one person selling this major product line. As you saw before, we have a lot of examples of dashboards that will come to you out of the box. This is a financial example where we're really analyzing our year-to-date and actuals to budgets. Okay, but again, these are very simple to build. So let's say you would like to maybe build a dashboard that's outside of Excel. Like I had shown earlier in our dashboard builder online, you can absolutely do that. So if I wanted to create a new dashboard, maybe I'm going to stick to sales because, again, it's just where the good information is. But it's the same for any of the modules that you have installed with GP. I'm actually going to increase the grid size here. But over on the left, you're going to see the visuals that we can choose from, as well as our same cube that we saw within Excel. And so I'm just going to drag and drop visuals right here. And then I'm going to choose what I'd like to include. So I'll grab, maybe we'll grab sales by salesperson for this first one. And you can actually choose some more advanced formatting just by clicking the wheel here. And I'm actually going to title this sales by salesperson. And I prefer maybe the legend to be at the bottom, as well as I'd like to see the percentage points of our total sales included. So now you have a nice chart here. The next example I'll show, because you may have examples like this where you have a lot of different items. And so they're not all necessarily going to fit here. So if I grab, let's do our profit. So we'll grab profit by each item. And you're going to see it's going to be a lot of items, right? So this doesn't look all that great, but if I come over to the panel here and click on profit, I can easily filter on our, let's say, top 5. So now we're going to have just our top 5 items by profit. And then we'll name it as such. We'll say top 5 items by profit. I'll also pull in a donut chart here at the end to kind of tie the two together. And we're going to grab our sales. And then I actually want to include the particular item categories in this case. So we'll call this sales by item category. This is a very popular one with our users. It's called a range slicer, but it's both a visual and a way to slice by date range in the same visual. So I'm actually going to include both our profit and our sales, and then I'm going to grab this over time. So we're actually going to pull this in over time. And so it's a really great way to do that, and then I could slice and dice by range just by moving that slicer. So we'll call this sales and profits over time. And then the last piece, I'm actually going to add in, we'll add in 3 different slicers here. And so maybe I'd like to filter by location. Let's see here. What do we have? So I definitely want salesperson in there. And then I'll grab location. And let's also add in the month. And then I'll add a quick title here. So we'll call this global sales. And then we can choose how large we want this to be. And then there's also different themes. So I can change the colors. I really like this one. I think it really makes this pop. And then if we go to the dashboard and we say save, this is now saved up into the Jet Hub. So when I come back to the hub and I go into our dashboards, we now see the dashboard that I've just created. And again, now you have access to this on any device that connects to the internet. So you can see very quickly and easily, we can create these dashboards right within the tool inherent to Jet. Okay. So the next piece I'm going to touch on is Power BI. And we really at Jet and obviously at Optimus, we really, really love Power BI. We think it's an amazing way to represent data visually because studies have shown that this is really the most optimal way for users to consume information. And so on our webpage, you'd seen some examples with Power BI, and it's really for that reason. Is obviously we have our own data visualization tool, as you just saw, but Power BI offers more options. So if you're wanting like maybe the map or something that's more advanced, you can easily use Power BI to create this. When I'm actually going to open up a new Power BI example here just to show you. So when a new user is logging in with Power BI, the first thing it's asking them is where's their data? Okay, and so you can see over here on the right, there's no data loaded. And so when we're using Jet Analytics specifically, we now have access to a cube. And so instead of actually starting from scratch, we actually start with a cube like we'd seen here. And so it's very simple for a user to do that. We're just going to go ahead and click Get Data. I'm actually going to go to our databases, and you can see here I have a cube. So instead of trying to build this from scratch, I'm going to connect to our analysis services database. And mine happens to be local, but yours could be in the cloud, right? You don't have to have everything on-prem. We're compatible with on-premise or cloud databases or environments. And so I'm actually going to open up this cube. And again, the sales cube just has better data, so I'm going to grab that first. But as you can see, it's going to be the same exact process. So I choose my visual, and then I choose just the information that I want to pull in. So maybe I want the sales by, again, if we come down and we keep it the same by salesperson, you can see we're, again, creating a visual pretty simply. And that's not a common experience with Power BI. Is usually you have someone building this for you or creating this data set for you, but day one after we install the data warehouse and cubes, you're going to have access to this. And so maybe we'll grab, I'll show you what the map looks like here. So if we grab maybe our costs by like city, you can see it's zooming into the visual and creating a map. And so there's some more advanced features that you would receive with the Power BI product. But again, there's a lot of ways to build this information. And again, Jet does connect to every type of scenario. So we've seen a lot of sales. You could create a Power BI dashboard off of your financial data if you wanted to. I'm pulling up actually a balance sheet here. But again, with the finance cube, if I click on the visual, you can see all we've done is we've clicked 3 boxes. Maybe you're managing inventory, right? This is another example of inventory. But it does not require a technical background or any kind of database management experience to create this type of information, because again, you can see we've only clicked 3 boxes, right? So very powerful, very fast, very efficient way to run an organization. And so we have about 10 minutes remaining, and I know we've covered quite a bit of ground, so I did want to pause for a moment, make sure people have an opportunity to ask questions, and then also for Vishal to come in and make sure that everything's clear for everybody, and that we have some time to wrap up and chat further as needed. So again, thank you so much for everybody being here. Thank you, Optimus, for bringing us in. We're really looking forward to working with your clients, as we already have been, and helping any and everybody on the line become experts at managing their data and accessing their information very easily.